Right, guys, how you doing today? Let's do our train for the day. Welcome to Moniphy. So we're gonna be, my name is Great Akudo, but we're gonna be talking about how MCA works, right? Key points for the training, what MCA offers, explanation of MCA advances, MCA repayment process. Okay. So a merchant cash advance, which is in short MCA, offers a financial solution for businesses that are in need of immediate funding. This is what makes MCA unique, immediate funding. In other words, they can get funded as fast as same day, but mostly 1 to 3 business days, not 1 to 3 days, but 1 to 3 business days or 24 to 72 hours. But sometimes, depending on if the client has done business with the provider, they can get the funding the same day that they requested it. So that's amazing. So this method involves a straightforward yet unique mechanism that distincts from traditional loans. Obviously, if you know traditional loans, they require you to have credits. They require you to also have some form of collateral, and on top of that, they don't provide you the funding as quickly as you need it most of the time. So if not all of the time. So I'll actually bet all of the time this happens with traditional loans. So this method with MCAs are unique. So explanation of the advance. At the core of an MCA is the exchange of a lump sum payment to a business. So when the business gets this upfront capital, which is not a loan and a cash advance, it goes against the business's future sales. So the lender or the provider, as we call it, usually is kind of betting that you will make money in the future. So it's really risky if you think about it, MCAs, and that's why they are very expensive to get, but they're very convenient. At the same time, they're very risky for the lender or the provider. So I just want you as finance consultants to understand this. So when they get receive the upfront capital, which is not a loan, it's considered a cash advance. It goes against the business's future sales in hopes that it will make money in the sales, and then a percentage of that goes back to pay the cash advance. So essentially, it is for a business that needs this immediate infusion of cash to use for its operations, expansions, or any financial needs in that it might have. So this is another um, selling factor that distincts or distinguishes MCAs from traditional loans. And I love MCAs, so this is what we're in the business for, MCAs. So this is another thing that makes it exceptional, in my opinion, my personal opinion. The funds are not micromanaged. So in other words, when they lend you the money, like versus getting money from a traditional sense, the funds are usually micromanaged in the traditional sense. They want you to use the money for exactly what you said you're going to do, use the money for. Anything outside of that, you're breaking the contract or the agreement. Whereas with MCAs, you could borrow money for your payroll as a business, right? But you can also use the money to go on a vacation. I mean, the responsible business wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying that you don't micromanage with the money that is being lent to you versus a traditional lending vehicle, I'll say. So the unique aspect of an MCA is that the provider is purchasing a portion of the business's future returns or revenue. So this means that the funding amount is based in part, right, on the sales projection of the business. Just like I said earlier, they're betting on you that you're going to pay them back, that you're going to make money and pay them back, right? So this makes it actually a flexible or more flexible option, especially for businesses with high sales volumes, but perhaps less than perfect or stellar credit profiles. So there are some businesses or business owners that um, when they don't have very good credit, but they make a lot of sales, they make a lot of money, but their credit is none, they shut down. This is a good vehicle for them to get funded. Now, besides the fact that MCA is convenient, besides the fact that MCA is what would you say? It's not a technically a loan. One should consider that it is risky and it's not for every business. Most businesses that should use MCAs are businesses that don't have good credit, they don't have collateral, and they need the money immediately to solve a need. You can't just sit on an MCA. That's what I mean. You can't sit on a merchant cash advance. It is not, it is highly not recommended, if I could say. So as much as it is convenient, as much as it is it distinguishes itself, it's not micromanaged, as much as it accepts you when you have not so good credit or collateral, then think about the risky aspect of it because you have to pay it back in a daily basis, on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, or on a biweekly, or on a monthly basis, depending on your agreement with the lender or the provider. And at the same time, you're paying it back at a higher rate, which we call a factor rate. So the repayment process of an NCA is what sets it apart, also sets it apart. It's not the only thing, but it also sets it apart from traditional financing options. So instead of a fixed monthly payment over a set period of time with interest, an MCA is paid back through a daily or a weekly payment. Now, here's what he means by that. That is not a fixed monthly payback. So these payments are not fixed amounts, but they are percentages of the business's daily or weekly sales. So depending on the business, if they're bringing in money every single day, if it's a restaurant, for example, they're bringing money every single day, then they pay back the MCA or the cash advance they received every single day, right? Unless they've proven themselves to pay back, then they can have an agreement or reestablish an agreement with the lender or the provider that they would, want it to be a weekly thing. But what I'm saying is if they're making $100 a day and the agreement says that the deduction is going to be 20%, right? $100 of 20%, they're going to be getting how much? Yeah, $20 every day. That's it. So every single day, if that's stipulated in the agreement, is what I'm saying. So every single day, since they're making $100 every single day, they're going to be paying back $20 based on the agreement. Now, what makes it a percentage thing is if they increase and make $1,000 every single day, the same 20% is still going to be applicable. So they're going to pay back $200 instead of 20, right? Versus a fixed amount with a traditional loan is the fixed amount you're paying. Let's say you're paying $2,000 every month. You pay $2,000 every month till the end of the term of the contract of the loan or so. So this is what also separates MCAs, but I want you all to understand it. So when you're asked about it, you confidently know what you're talking about, right? So these sales-based repayment methods offers flexibility. Now, it doesn't mean there is no risk, right? Because it depends on the business making money. So if the business stops making money, the lender stops getting their money back, and there becomes a problem, right, somewhere. However, it is very flexible. It is very, very flexible. So the agreement that's been signed could be reestablished depending on the lender or provider. Instead of them charging, for example, 20% every single day, they could charge 15%. They could charge something lower just so that you get the money in or they get their money back because it's risky. So, but it's flexible to businesses, and the payments are adjusted based on the business's actual sales volume, which is what we've talked about. So, if the sales are up, right, like I gave you an example, the business pays more towards the advance, right? If the sales are down, business pays less. So nobody's really was really crying about it. I mean, most of the time, the business owner would be crying about it because if the sale is down, they don't want to be dishing out more money. They don't be dishing out money at all. But the agreement is what they signed up for. So this is why some people are not very uh, fond of MCAs, right? It's not for everybody. I tell them I'm very candid with any potential client that we bring on board that, hey, it might not be palatable for you. You should, review for yourself. If it's something that you really want to do, if you really need this money, we can provide it for you. But there are risks, just like everything on earth. There are risks to everything. So you just have to caution yourself because it's worked for many people, to be honest. It's worked for many businesses. And then there's some that are not as, I would say fortunate, I guess, or they don't plan themselves accordingly for it to not work for them. But anyway, in addition to repaying the advance amount, businesses also pay fees. Obviously, we call them factor rates, which are determined at the outset of the agreement. I explained it to you. So these fees, along with the advance, they constitute a total payback. So if someone is, borrowing, let's say 100,000, and the factor rate is 1.25%, so you multiply the two, is going to be 125,000 payback. That's what the total payback amount is going to be, right? So the fee they're paying there is 1.25 factor rates. That's what it's called. And you multiply that by whatever amount. I'm saying this depends on the lender because the rates, the factor rates could range from 1.18 up to 1.140, depending on them. So, but I'm just giving you an example. 1.25 is, moderate for you to understand. So they're borrowing 100,000, they qualify for 100,000. The factor rate is 1.25 factor rate. Multiply the two, you get 125,000. So for the 100,000 they're borrowing, they're paying back 25,000 on top of it. So the 25,000 is now divided. Now, depending on the term of the agreement, if it's a 12-month term, if it's a 3-month term, if it's a 6-month term, it is divided, individual days of the 6 months, of the 3 months, of the 12 months, of the 24 months, depending on the term of the agreement, right? Most lenders do not want to go as far as 24 months because it's more risky for them to pay you back, right? They want to shorten it within like 3 months, 6 months. You see a lot of 3 months and you see a lot of 6 months in MCA in the industry. So don't be surprised when you see the term that is 6 months or 3 months, because the lenders know that it's more risky the further you spread it out, right? So that's how it works. So the way of the fees are structured, these fees are structured often, like I told you, it's called a factor rate rather than an APR. The cost of the money can be high. Absolutely. Making it crucial for businesses to understand the terms fully. So if someone needs the money, they need to consult their lawyer, they need to consult their attorneys, their accountants, whoever, to give them a fair advice, and then they decide what they want to do. But I got to tell you, it works for businesses, and then some it doesn't work. Just like traditional loans work for some businesses and they don't work for some. As simple as that. So in summary, MCAs provide a flexible financing option for businesses with variable sales. It offers an immediate lump sum payment, right, in exchange for a percentage of the business's future sales. Very simple. The repayment process is tied directly to the daily or weekly sales volume plus the fees. Like I explained to you, the factor rate could be 1.25, 1.40, 1.18, depending on the lender. And the terms also could vary depending on the lender and also the risk that the business owner has already incurred with their business, right? So this process continues until the advance and fees are paid in full. This aligns the business's financing needs with its cash flow capabilities. Every business needs to consider how it's going to work for them. If they need the cash fast, how they're going to adjust themselves to pay it back. They need to pay it back because there could be problems if they don't pay it back, right? Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at training@moniphy.com and be very direct with your question. Put in the subject line what you think the question is going to be. If it's about the repayment process, put in repayment process questions. Or you could ask me about, factor rate processes. Whoever, we have staff that would answer those questions, but if it's something difficult for them, they can reach out to me and I'll answer it for them and they will send it to you. But yes, you can email us at training@moniphy.com. Now, if you know anybody that is looking for a career to be a business finance consultant with us, feel free to have them email us their resume at jobs@moniphy.com. All right? That means we come to the end of our training. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Bye-bye.